Oh, hello, this is Earth, and this time, this won't be a video about From Total War, but as you can see in the background, it says COVID-19, and this will be just a video about coronavirus, but about a year 2020. One hell of a year, don't you agree, guys? Yeah. I mean, many things happened actually in this year, and not just coronavirus is just one of the most sound events, but really many things are happening meanwhile. And I'm sure that this year will be remembered as one of the toughest years after World War II. Now, coronavirus definitely changed our lives, and in many things and aspects, it shaped many other events that occurred meanwhile, uh, and that are following it, like well, already very visible and seen economic crisis, and that will just have yet to come, and who knows what else, because lots of speculations going around, so we will have yet to face in 2021 upcoming and incoming events. So we'll see what everything comes next. Um, well, one of the major things is that obviously this event uh, raised a lot of dust in the air about Archimedes talks, and there's a lot of theories and conspiracy theories, and then there is that mainstream narrative, and I just don't think that we'll get any rational consensus between these two, because at the moment the world is quite split in two about coronavirus, because there are people who actually believe that this coronavirus don't exist, and then there are those who have the dogmatic approach about coronavirus and listen uh, like 100% that is everything said by some instances that got some credibility in the past years, and in some areas of our planet Earth there is sort of not just arguments, but very bloody protests about the mainstream approach, and I mean against it, and very possibility that will lead to even to more and more violence. So that will be one of the things that I'll be speaking about today. And another thing will be not just about coronavirus, but strictly a matter of logic and science, because some of you probably know that my view of the science today in the 21st century quite lost its humanistic and to say social approach, and science started serving more to technology, and this new so-called technological era, and we'll see actually where this will lead, because as I said, my view is that we are starting to live in if medieval was the dark age of dogma and religion, and I think that we start living in a dark age of technology. So, okay, one of the first questions is actually where did from Corona came and how Corona first came to be. I mean, there's a lot of questions about it. So, COVID-19, the name got because, yeah, just to note that there were, okay, COVID-19 got its name because it first appeared in 2019, and that's how all coronavirus get its names. For instance, there were COVID 02 because it was first because we found out for the first time about it in 2002, and I think that first coronavirus was isolated sometime in 1970s in the labs, um, which doesn't mean that it actually didn't existed even before. So people usually think this is something new. This actually isn't something new because this virus uh, 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 wasn't isolated for the first time in 2019, and we heard it for the first time about it, like the great masses in the world and the world's population in December 2019. And we saw that something is going on in China, in Wuhan province, some apocalyptic scenes, and actually, what was going on there is that later we found out that it is newly unleashed coronavirus. And relatively very quickly, mainstream media came up to an idea that virus spread out for the first time from some Wuhan market where some exotic animals were eating our cell, and they accused snake for the first time. You know, immediately appear people, you know, scientists, and not just scientists, but very knowledgeable people like philosophers, sociologists, psychiatrists, etc., etc., who actually questioned it, you know, and immediately they were satanized. They were declared to be fools, like idiots, liars, and charlatans. You know, only month passed, and later we heard from this very same mainstream media, and to say, which sounds paradoxal, mainstream science, that coronavirus didn't pass to a human from a snake, but from some Chinese sort of bat called panga, some gigantic bat. And yeah, that was the new narrative, that was new dogma. So who would say now that it passed from a snake to a man was also a fool and a charlatan, etc., etc., etc. Then someone from WHO organization said that actually it came from some ants or something like that. And that was the new dogma, new narrative, and of course, everyone who doubted in that was a fool and charlatan and someone who had to spread out, you know, false information, something like that, you know. Sometime in May 2020, I think, we got the information that we actually don't know anything about the virus, and we don't know how how it was made. Is it natural, or it is made? It is artificial, made in laboratories. For the first time, mainstream media and, again, unfortunately to say this, mainstream science admitted that they don't know, and actually some of them said that there is a possibility that it was artificially made. I remember a French scientist, I forgot his name, uh, who got the Nobel Prize for, I think, chemistry some 10 or 15 years ago, uh, who in December in 2019 actually said that he only said that there is a possibility that virus is artificially made. So that wasn't some drunkard from the street, as they accuse him that he is. I think that later committee for the Nobel Prize taken away that award from him. Don't take this for a word. I just heard it. I'm not sure that this is true, but I know that they satanize him, and they claim that he is some drunkard from the street. That's a fact. And so 6 months later, mainstream science admitted that there is actually a possibility that it was artificially made. And later, some organizations that are more believed in the world, like countries like United States, Russia, even China. China accused the United States that in some military, how to say, preparations. I mean, where where participated many countries in Wuhan, that actually American army released the virus there, while Americans accused China that the China released the virus to hurt the Western economy. So you see how this all sounds at the same time logical and absurd. Logical because everything of this is real possible. That virus is natural, and that it came for the first time from that market, or that was artificially made. So we actually don't know about it. We don't know yet. Perhaps we will know, and that's a fact. So that much about theories and conspiracies. But there is still that narrative, especially in media. You have, especially internet media, that are eagerly ready to spread out some really, really dumb conspiracy theories. And especially, again, internet media are ready to offer some new insights, some logical theories, of course, which cannot be proven. But they are also satanized, and the mainstream media and, again, mainstream science are putting them in the same basket, which is a huge problem, actually. I was accused many times, including in Brom Total War community and in real life, that I'm some conspiracy theorists or something like that. Even as you can hear, that I'm not defending any side. I'm just trying to say how it is. Because people really, really starting to take all this very emotional, as you can see on the streets and in media and networks. And I I can say that I am more for these, how they say, conspiracy theories that are logical, and they're questioning things, actually, that they're ready to ask the questions. Do we know anything about it? Rather than to trust to mainstream media and mainstream science that actually tr- uh, treating things from the dogmatic view. And I know that many videos has been ruled. Probably will be this one. Okay, I'll save it, but probably will be removed. And there's that huge censorship, which actually is one of the main problems that are causing this corona, because we can see the amount of the censorship like we haven't seen from the Soviet era, or even worse. I don't think that even in the Soviet Union was this amount of the censorship, like perhaps in North Korea at the moment, or or as it was in the regimes before World War II and during World War II. So this is really scary, and I think that this really our bigger problem than coronavirus itself is. Because I can see that mainstream is causing a lot of trouble, and they want to enforce people to accept everything they say as an absolute truth. Even they're changing their narratives every week, and I think that everyone with the two brain cells could see that, and that should worry them actually, because that is a big problem. Because in this world doesn't live only we, but I think that we should live this world uh, for some new generation to some healthy world with a healthy system. So actually, I should say that there is no two sides in this story, but there are actually three sides. So one side is this really dumb conspiracy theories, and uh, on another is this mainstream who is definitely providing us, I really think deliberately, with the false information. And there is that third side that actually trying to question things. So the only side that is actually seeking for some answers. And now let's talk about some facts, because I provided you some links, and actually why I think that if coronavirus even wasn't artificially made, that definitely some parties are using it extremely well to achieve their goals, and a lot of these parties for sure don't have noble causes, and they proved it not just during coronavirus crisis, but many times in the past too. So okay, let's see what I got here for you. Okay, one of the first things I'd like to show you, let me see. No, that. Yeah. Yeah, okay, about mortality rate, and about uh, the number of the infected people, uh, and such things. Okay, as we can see, is that by now, uh, this information from Google directly. We have 65 millions and 400,000 cases in the world of the infected people. So for 1 year, okay, this is the number of the recovered, and number of deaths is 1.5 millions. Okay, to say. Okay, which is I cannot count now, but which is very low mortality rate. Don't you agree? So when you can see that there is like 8 billion, almost 8 billion people living on this planet, uh, and we got this number of deaths from coronavirus. This really doesn't seem scary, isn't it? Yeah, so it does seem scary only when you hear it every day on media, where they're bombarding you with this information, like uh, that number of people died, that number of people infected, it's very dangerous, be careful, lock yourself up, keep the social distance. They're saying keep the social distance, not physical distance. So I think that is really purposely said, because I really think that there are some secret plans behind it, which of course I cannot prove, but why keep saying social distance? Why not say physical distance? You don't need to have social distance. You can interact with people through internet. You can interact with people in the street. You can interact with your families. You have rights on that, especially because the latest news from the WHO, also organization that also changed its narrative like million times, says that there needs like 15 minutes to be exposed to a highly already infected person that you can get coronavirus. Where some countries even prescribed a rule where in the streets you have to carry masks, and mask is also debatable. Does it helping or not? These are just few of the questions I'd like to ask, and which definitely seem logical to me, or completely logical from the perspective of the prescribed rules, um, which is definitely dumb. I mean, again, everyone with the two brain cells should realize that something is wrong there. Okay, so no another numbers. Okay, I'd like to say also for Serbia, like, okay, this is the number of the infected, and this is the number of deaths. So 1,834. Okay, let's see what says heart disease facts. Heart disease in the United States. Okay, this is the number of the Americans that die from heart disease each year officially. That's the official number, but I guess that compared to coronavirus, where more or less every death is registered, here are for sure a lot of numbers that are not registered as such. And I know that in Serbia, from cardiovascular diseases, die 50,000 men in 1 year. So compare these numbers, actually. So yeah, it's much larger number in the United States, and it should be much larger. Okay, we can remove this. Okay, now cancer. Okay, cancer says that every year die 9.6 million people from cancer. Now compare this with coronavirus, that's in 1 year. And in Serbia there is over, I think there are different numbers exposed, but it is between 13-40,000. That's and this is again much more than that's from coronavirus. So yeah, cancer wins here. Okay, what's this? Yeah, car accidents. This is in the United States. In Serbia again, by percentage, much more, around 50,000 yearly. So okay, in the United States, coronavirus wins. Here in Serbia, again in many countries, car crashes wins. Air pollution, very problematic thing. We're poisoning our planet with many things, and I don't see that anyone care much about it. Like really, I don't care much about it. And it says 3.4 million deaths each year. I know that Serbia is 6,000. So again, in both cases, air pollution wins and coronavirus lose. Very interesting. And let's say this is the official site, World Health Organization. This is the number of the people who die from respiratory diseases linked to seasonal flu each year. So, okay. In Serbia it's 2000, so in Serbia even common flu wins coronavirus, which says that we definitely fought well against coronavirus, or it wasn't that dangerous at all. Now, just in advance to say, I know that perhaps some of the viewers may have someone who have died from corona, so I'm not saying that it's harmless. It is very dangerous thing, and of course, that such a low, that this is extremely low mortality rate was managed by the prescribed rules in each government, and of course we were taking care about it. But I definitely can say that's a fact. No one can deny. For sure, there will be a higher mortality rate, but not much. You can see Sweden was quite open, and their numbers are quite similar to every country. Like, okay, a bit bigger, but okay, their economy wasn't ruined, and they didn't had so many cases with mental problems later. from coronavirus, etc., etc. So, question is, how much we are willing to sacrifice of our freedom and our everyday life necessities to defend from a virus that have infectious really low rate, so below 1%, and that rate is 0.00 something, and let's speak about those who die. Okay, I think that every every life is actually important, and I have very humanistic approach about it. But let's speak about it. 90% seven people who died were very very old or very very sick people. So this is another fact that is showing us that actually dying people who would anyway relatively quickly die. So really the question is, what the fuck are we doing at all with all this problem? Uh, when we have all these facts in one place, I mean, everyone who is even a bit sane should question all this. Do we really all need all this about Corona? Do we really need all these lockdowns, all this economy ruining? Do we all need all these social distances? And all these arguments between theory conspiracies and mainstream liars, I'll call them like that, yeah, because they are definitely liars. Or we can just sit and think rationally, everyone for himself, and get some logical conclusions about it. Another thing I like to say is that actually we're witnessing a very, very crucial battle for monopoly, because definitely everything accelerates. The events accelerates, even time accelerates relatively, we can say like that. And some certain parties are getting a lot of power, not strictly to be this time countries, because we have big corporations, and because they definitely care only about themselves, and very very powerful individuals, like, no need I guess to name them, but of whom I may speak. So okay, let's see some other facts about what coronavirus caused during this year. Okay, I guess this one will have to be reloaded. Seems that link has been stuck. Okay, let's try to reload it like this. Yeah. So Business Insider, very respectable medium, and they wrote an article where says, okay, I'll provide you with links later. No need to waste your time. But yeah, in this link, as said here, is that billionaires got richer for this amount, and this is a really really huge amount, just for 1 year. Don't you agree? Because oh yeah, this is another number. Okay, let's see which article. Yeah, The Guardian says that. So I guess that we can trust them. They're mainstream and they're speaking only truthful dogma. Yeah, okay. Because the most people believe them. So why not to believe them then? I'm quite sure that I can believe them about this, at least. This, because this perfectly makes sense, even if it is not a higher number. And especially those who are owners of huge networks profited. Like for instance, there was that program of 3 months helping of to every company for the minimal salaries for their employees. So let's see, especially networks, which workers were able to work from houses, got also that help. And they have filials from Washington, D.C. to Beijing. Uh, no need to count it, but definitely it's a huge number of dollars or euros, whatever, because they are similar. So yeah, I won't be surprised if this is a true sum of that money. And on the other hand, we are witnessing a really huge economic depression, where tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions, already on this planet are without job at the moment, or left without job. Uh, I didn't provide that link, but you can check for yourself. I watched that documentary a night ago, where it says there is 690 million people who are hungry. I mean, the 21st century, is this the achievement of this society, yeah, and this system? Well, obviously it is. I don't think that people don't know. I mean, I guess that common people don't know about it, but it's hard to believe that people in power don't know about it. And it seems that they're perfectly fine with it. And now, suddenly, okay, I removed that link. They so care so much about coronavirus and about our health and about everything. Where 1.5 million people die, so literally from everything else more people die. Okay, no, not literally, but in 99% cases, okay, from common flu die less. But it's a similar number. I mean, this just sound quite funny, and it's completely paradoxical and illogical, and then I guess we should care to ban cigarettes, to stop factories to work, not to poisoning our air, to forbid people to eat meat, so to be more healthy, to jogging every day, to, like, well, we should do that, okay, yeah? Let's government enforce that. If they care so much about, I don't want about wars, let's speak about wars. I didn't provide the links about the number of deaths, but again, you can type there every year. Okay, let me type it. Let me find it. How many people die in wars every year? I'm not sure there's exact number, but I guess that that you can find different numbers for each year, but we're definitely speaking about hundreds of thousands, if not millions. Even there, who care about these people? People are killing people, so. And more or less, we're the same governments or parties that are involved in defending our asses from coronavirus. And that's a hypocrisy. And we're gonna trust them. Come on, people. Come on. That's really stupid. It's okay. That much about it. And yeah, another thing is that media are definitely enforcing and pushing the story about a necessity of moving forward in technological sense, and this is all that we hear lately. We don't hear anything else. Civilization has moved only to move forward in technology sense. And what about sociology, let's say? What about that? I think that we should move a bit more in that direction. For instance, in Cold War era, we had two blocks that were competing with each other, and not just competing in weaponry, but they were competing in everything, in sport, athleticism, in science, and who will get better social system, economic system, and like that. And we don't talk about this anymore. That became important. An individual became important. Masses became important. society became unimportant. So everything is in the service of technology. We don't talk anymore about happiness or sadness. Even psychology, that should have been a science of the 21st century, became unimportant, you know. Like, die, you miserable freak. Who cares that you're sad and you have problems? Because that's what we hear in mainstream media. And what's, you know, that's in my opinion a really huge problem. And unless we want to become some senseless and emotionless robotoids or androids or whatever, then I think that we should question that too. Because you know the technology should be there to serve us. There's no going back. We definitely won't come back to live in caves, in in Neolith or some era of human history like that. No, we will live with technology, okay, but how we will live with technology, that's really an important question, you know, because uh, the way we are moving forward only in technology sense, obviously there is no place for a human, and not to mention that with our technologies and the usage of our technology, we are definitely poisoning our planet. So I think that we should do something about it too. And yeah, regarding technology, I'd like also to provide you with several more links and facts. You know, um, there were stories, some theory conspiracies about new announced vaccine. Um, the day may be a microchipping. So okay, I must say that I don't know about it. Will that be, or do we possess such technology already that through vaccine we can microchipping people? I really don't know. But the major problem is that mainstream, again, media and science, are saying that that's definitely impossible. You know, it's like me when I was a kid hearing my parents and others saying how, if I guess that everyone of you watched the movie Terminator, oh, that's dumb, but that's some fairy tale that can never exist. Well, we witnessed even that, a crude artificial intelligence and robots, while today we definitely have examples for both. And now that's the same about microchipping. You know, you can search a bit on the sites, military sites of the United States, China, and Russia, and you will find that they are definitely working with nanotechnology and very well advanced technology about it they have. Um, and we have already microchipping. Okay, as you can see, this is in Texas. Okay, this link on animals. We have microchipping of dogs in China. We have microchipping of people in China who, for instance, in a city bus, they cannot enter unless they have microchipping, and not in all cities, of course, but in some advanced. And in Sweden, there are 3,000 volunteers that decided to implant microchips in their bodies. And what are those microchips actually? Well, these microchips are definitely existing, so you can check for yourself. No, that's not hidden. You should, don't listen, these full mainstream media who are definitely telling fairy tales, but search for yourself, dedicate 1 or 2 days. You don't need much, and search about it, and you will see that this definitely exists. And with microchips, first and major goal is, you know, achieving of, how to say, well, easier doing something. For instance, about tracking, you can easier track your animals if it's lost or something like that. So why not to track humans? We are already witnessing of giving our rights, or giving up of our rights to some certain parties that are definitely searching for a monopoly. Assange spoke about it with his WikiLeaks project, and it seemed that we are eager to not bother about it. Even my opinion, Assange is definitely a Jesus Christ of the 21st century. He definitely opened our eyes for the first time what our governments are doing to us and multicorporal companies. So, don't know, guys. You know, are you ready to believe true facts and true science and your own senses, or some mainstream media and some big head who definitely want to get some usage of you? And that's also the story about microchipping. Well, of course, they will tell you you can easier to do to pay your bills like that, to do economic transactions, money transactions, etc., etc., which is definitely true. But why would you do that? At what cost? Why? So that you can you can connect it with that term social distance, so that you can make a social distance with everyone and isolate yourself in a room and sit in front of your PC or mobile phone, Android. That's the way where you're becoming Android. A Borg. If you watch Star Trek, that's what you will become if you do that to yourself. So yeah, I guess that should be, as in Sweden, a matter of will, free will. So if someone wants to do microchipping, okay, but then give us right not to do that. Okay, in Israel, there is enforced microchipping. As they say, they are using already coronavirus, where they are microchipping only Palestinians, like a fucking animals. They're chasing them, microchipping them. And so they're doing them what Hitler was doing to Jews. Very interesting. Okay, even I'm a great fan of Jews, Jihad, and all that, and I respect that nation and that people. But man, you have strayed away a lot. Okay, that's about microchipping. So you can see that definitely exists. So for start, you should accept that it exists and it is possible. Is it possible through vaccines? I really don't know. And will these vaccines be that? I really don't know. I would say that I even think that won't be. But I think that actually this is just a pilot project for some other problems that we will face, and they're just taking away our freedoms and our free will and our logical and knowledgeable thinking. The rise that we managed to achieve in fight through millenniums. So human history is long, how much, several thousands of years, and there were certain improvements through eras. And are we willing in 21st century to give up on all that? That's the main question in all this. Should we really believe to mainstream? That's the main question, actually. And about the matter of vaccination and this vaccine, I will say I don't know. Will there be a microchipping, or there's really a noble cause behind it, or whatever? But there's definitely one fact: virological and mainstream media definitely fucked up there when said it. So, vaccine in Russia was invented when, like, several months ago. Chinese 2 months ago, Pfizer's vaccine 2 months ago. So okay, all of these vaccines supposed to have over 90% efficiency. But where these mainstream media and WHO and said that virus still mutates, and they say every week. So let's say the last vaccine, okay, we won't take Russian, that was 5 months ago invented and had 90% efficiency. Okay, Pfizer's vaccine, let's say for instance, has 95% efficiency or something like that 2 months ago. So if virus mutates every week, if months have 4 weeks, so virus mutated 8 times. So it definitely do not have any more 90%, 95% efficiency. Even if it had, which I definitely doubt that ever had. So, we have to question on how many examples, samples was tested vaccine on 100,000, 10,000, 100,000. I don't think that we should be ready to be testing samples for some things like that, And let's say that vaccine was really real and it had such efficiency when it does not have. Logically, you can get a logical assumption by yourself that definitely now vaccine after 8 weeks of coronavirus mutation definitely don't have such efficiency. Okay, maybe 20-30%, but why don't you take such vaccine? Not to say that we have to pay it. Government say, well, we'll do it for free. Well, nothing is for free. Government's money is the citizens' money of every country in the world. So that won't be free. That will reflect on your salaries, on other systems, school systems, healthcare systems, etc., etc. So what we're the least we will buy some vaccine that have false efficiency. But okay, so if nothing else, it's about the profit, and the profit based on a lie. So I don't know why we should give them such credit, and why would we give them all that money when that vaccine definitely won't save us from corona, as they say that they have such efficiency. Okay, so I think that's a fact, and that no one should question efficiency of the vaccines. That much we know. Okay, so but let's say the behavior of the governments and WHO. So okay, let's see. I'm gonna show you one link where Boris Johnson vows COVID vaccine disinformation. Okay, this BBC News, again, a mainstream media, and when they say this, I definitely trust them about this again once more, because that's something that isn't going in human rights, the defending of human rights direction, and something like that. So knowing the mortality rate, the infectious rate, and everything is, why to enforce people to take that vaccine? So I know that in Serbia it said that it will be on a willing base of free willingness, but they said that for children there will be a must for a vaccination, which is definitely a crime, if you ask me. Definitely a crime if we enforce us to take vaccines, and they definitely have a way to enforce us, because they'll start with that. Okay, you can't come on your work if you are haven't taken vaccine. You cannot travel. Later will be that you cannot leave your room, and in the end, you will definitely be a lower class and a lower race. So we are definitely going with this project of vaccine in a direction where we will discriminate people. And Johnson says that they will defend their libertarian and democratic rights, and there won't be enforcing like legally, but there will be definitely small annexes which will ban videos like this mine, and like forcing people through jobs and socialization that they must take vaccines. Again, you can check this for yourself. Okay, this was a video. I'm gonna provide you with a link. It definitely moves forward for these discriminations and fascist behavior of our governments. If you were listening to this hearing, this senator showed that Facebook, Google, and Twitter have a collaboration through a program called. Okay, let me remind. I forgot.
Mr. Zuckerberg, tell me about Centra.
Yeah, Central project where they together mutually control every information they're getting through their networks. So not to mention that they have right of censorship there, which we witnessed during American elections, and completely legal censorship. But they're definitely tracking every user that once in life registered on one of these three networks, whether it's through your phone number or your phone, or it's through your email or your real accounts. So definitely, once you're connected to these networks, you will be followed to the rest of your lives unless you give up all technology and hide somewhere deep in some forest or in the center of Sahara or Greenland. So that's only, I guess, where you could escape. Okay, I'll provide you with a link. No need to listen this, but they said Zuckerberg here even admitted that they have such program, but that it's used to follow terrorists. I mean, how the fuck do you know in advance who is a terrorist and who is not? He said according to hashtags or something like that, which is pretty much dumb. So definitely you are following every user non-stop. And if you notice, you cannot log off never from on your phone or somewhere. There is no options to log off from Twitter, Google, Facebook, or Google. They're simply always following you. Not to mention that every program that you're installing on your PC, on that huge list of the agreement, somewhere there's put in like 99% of the programs that you're willingly allowed that this program have a right to listen your conversations on your headphones, earphones, microphone, etc., 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 and camera. So yeah, Big Brother, Eye of the Sauron is watching us. So why not then to use that on vaccines too? Okay, that's the question. I don't know are they capable, but definitely in the future, if not now, they'll try to do that. That's definitely a fact, because there are different people in this world that are definitely good or bad. Okay, so that would be it about the vaccination. Yeah, okay, I'd like to add another thing. So, this definitely be because, okay, to set it, inversion. Inversion is a way of fight that first started to use spies even in ancient times. So, you present yourself as a friend to someone, actually, you'll be his enemy. Or you will present yourself as an enemy who has tendencies to become friends, but you will keep to be enemies, and there are inversions of inversions. So regarding vaccine, we have Bill Gates announcing that new virus incoming in 3 years. Oh, how the fuck can he know that? I mean, it's just interesting that most of the viruses were coming from China actually during history, but that can be explained that, for instance, American Indians were the least resilient on the diseases, but that explains because their population wasn't tight. They weren't living on a small area, and that's why China is a perfect ground through history for such viruses. And all trade was coming from the east, so that perfectly makes sense. But what's interesting that from China came over 15 different viruses in the last 20 years, starting from SARS, MERS, uh, bird virus, flu, how it's called, now this one, many viruses just in 20 years. Previously in history, we had centuries to pass before some virus infection erupt. So that's kind of quite intriguing and going in favor that this virus is artificially made. Yeah, and another thing about inversion I wanted to say is that Gates announcing new virus coming in 2 years. How can he know that? How he could know about this virus at all that it will be? Okay, I just like, I don't want to accuse him on anything, but I'd like that he stay away his fingers and hands out of this everything. Let him get richer through Microsoft and everything. It's not your business to take care about viruses. There are doctors who should care about it. So, but what if actually, goal of media and people in power and those different parties that are seeking to gain absolute monopoly, what if their goal is actually to discredit vaccines? That with this project, majority of the people understand that this vaccine is false and fraud, which definitely is, and they start questioning every vaccine. You know, and if 8 billion people ban vaccines, a big majority stop using them, and we get a right not to be vaccinated. What then? What if tuberculosis, some ancient, forgotten, lost calamities, long ago extinct calamities like tuberculosis, smallpox, and others erupt again? What if actually the goal is not to create new viruses, but actually to revive the old viruses, which were obviously very deadly, like medieval plague or something like that? What then? What if that is the case? So, so you see the complexity of this matter, is that really we are put in some very difficult position. That's why I'm speaking that this shouldn't be the story about COVID-19 virus, which obviously is deadly, but definitely not that much deadly as mainstream presenting it. Not at all that much deadly, nor problematic as they're presenting it. I mean, perhaps tomorrow I'll die from it, I don't know, but that doesn't mean that 8 billion people will die from it. They know they won't. Small number of people will die, relatively small compared to the number of the population. So that definitely isn't the major problem, nor major argument. Nor is the major argument even it's central around coronavirus vaccination. But the major problem is to understand the complexity of these things and to rationalize things, that actually this is a project of huge robbery, first of all, and second of all, of taking away of our freedoms that we were getting them through eons, through different eras, through thousands of years, and now just to give up on them in the 21st century in service of several people who seek for monopoly and technology. And to put it that way, simplified between good and evil. And the only way we can beat it is to be good and to seek logical assumptions, because they want to present that science should be, in servant of technology to be above science, and they border science with different dogmas, like was doing the medieval church, and it is definitely acting quite fascistoid. While I forgot who was that. Was that Tesla or some of the scientists? I forgot really. Who actually said that science should be a matter of exploration, of analysis and synthesis, an equation of creative, assumptions and logical conclusions, which will later lead to a certain exactness, and in the end, that became an axiom, like Newton laws or 2 plus 2 is 4, or something like that. But no, they want to present us something to be science just because it's dogma, or because it won on a democratic voting. No, there is no democratic voting on science. Science deals with facts and only, and nothing more. But to get these facts, you have to pass process that I explain now. Not just saying it on TV and saying everyone who think different should be burned on a stick. Okay, not literally today, but definitely people are losing their jobs if they speak differently, questioning things, or something like that, are antagonized and demonized. So yeah, I think that this is our major problem, and we should definitely see what to do about it. Even if we need to go out on the streets and make riots. If there is no other way. But yeah, I think that we are getting to that point where there's no coming back. Yeah, okay, so that would be it. But for the ending, I'd like also to add few things that has little with coronavirus, but it has definitely with other problems that are following coronavirus and that appeared recently and through human history. Well, at the moment we definitely have presentations of false problems also in mainstream media that are so pushed hard as the major problems that and what's the main goal of it? The main goal is, of course, to forget about the real problems that we are facing as a humankind. So, well, for instance, in the United States, we will see the problems of like racial problems, like problems of the abortion or worldwide LGBT rights problems or something like that. Okay, I'm not saying that we shouldn't talk about this. These problems still exist, but they are minor compared to real problems, and they are not anymore that problematic to say like they were in the past. Like, at least officially, every one of these got their rights, and more or less they're respected. Well, where they won't be respected is where there is a real problem, and it is between rich and poor. So if you have rich Afro American, or you have rich LGBT member, or you have rich Chinese, or you have whoever that is rich there, they'll be friends and they'll be brothers and they'll control things and they'll get richer and richer, like during coronavirus, during this insane robbery, like never recorded in human history. Like this amount of this robbery never happened. So this was definitely one of the projects was project of robbery, and it will continue if we don't do something about it. So you see, if you can see on one place, rich Afro-American, rich LGBT member, rich, Chinese, rich white guy, etc., etc., and they are cooperating fantastically, then they don't have such problem, So I don't get why such problem would have poor masses to cooperate like that. Still majority don't. Of course that you will have that's definitely a small number, small percentage of the extremists who will be racist, who will be fascist, who will be, anti-LGBT and something like that. But they are not threat to them actually. So don't know why we are mentioning such problems. It doesn't know. They're saying that Afro-American population is in most numbers in American prisons. Yeah, well, perhaps, perhaps, but I don't think that they are really putting their innocent people. And don't accuse me immediately that I'm racist. I'm not. I have many Afro-American friends, and Africans and all races and nations. But I want to say why they actually there. They're actually there because probably deserved. And another problem, major problem, is because their social class is definitely forgotten by the system. So that is the main problem. They're mostly poor. They're mostly influenced by different criminal groups and criminal behavior and something like that. So no wonder they're like that, and they're not guilty in the end. In the end, they are not guilty. That's quite simple, So if you want to solve problems and talk about the solving of problems, let's talk about real problems. That's definitely a social problem and a problem, especially about economic classes, which are definitely huge and like never recorded in history. And that's why I'd like to say, because countries mostly sell everything, so what remains to sell is land. So if we had systems like neoliberalism and systems like democracy and systems of, now we have neo-communists, the next system where we will live will be definitely neo-feudal system, because we will have our masters, especially proletariat, so-called in communism, or workers in capitalist world definitely don't have anything, And if countries sell its land to certain parties, corporations, or something like that, we're definitely starting to live in a feudal system. So that won't be anymore even capitalism. So yeah, I think that we are definitely headed there, and we cannot escape that. Perhaps some huge revolution could solve that, but that would be, I guess, too bloody, and no one wants to see that. So yeah, I think that the new system where we will live will be neo-feudalism, and that's why rich have all rights. Law don't work for them; they are above the law, while poor will always suffer. I mean, okay, that wasn't the case. Some will say, okay, but that was always the case in history. No, that wasn't the case always in history. Again, I'll mention Cold War, which definitely was an era where human rights were rising per general, especially in the West. So, because West wanted to present themselves as better, that was their key victory actually over communism and the USSR. And generally, our history was moving forward in that direction till now. I'll say again, till now, because technology is starting to be more important than human for the first time. Okay, so that's the first problem, but that's a problem that actually became past. So that's the problem that we probably won't be able, like, never again to change. We can regulate it with better system and laws, perhaps, if we will be enough stubborn on that matter. But that definitely became the problem of the past. The problem of the present is actually in which direction will technology go. So okay, as I mentioned, that technology is taking over and everything, but in which direction it will go? Okay, will science serve to technology? Our technology will serve, and will science and humans serve to technology, or will technology serve to human and to science? So no, that's the major question actually we are facing today. Because if you didn't notice, perhaps many of you were born in the world of high tech. I wasn't, and many weren't, so they for sure remember some other days which weren't definitely days of, and they'll understand why I call this era dark age of technology. Because definitely was, I can say definitely some better times and better era. Because you see, I mentioned the dogmatic view, but there is another view how technology can be used and how, in which direction science can go, not just to serve to technology, and to make things faster, to accelerating things. I'll use this term. We can use science to go in direction of spirituality, in direction of unknown, where technology should have always go. So we almost discovered everything that it is visible to our senses, what we can see, what we can hear, what we can touch, and other two senses, yeah, what we can feel. Um, um, so we pretty much discovered everything there. Definitely, I'm quite sure and as science says that we reach quite a limit there. Yeah, I'm quite sure that's why science becoming limited in the service of technology, because we refuse to go somewhere into unknown. Okay, we obviously are probably destined to live on this planet and want to live it like never. Like, okay, perhaps there can be created some base on the moon in 200 years or something like that, but we won't be able to inhabit any habitable planet if exists in our universe, and science know why. It's because of speed of light, because that's the maximum speed it can be achieved. Because then matter disintegrates, and since we live in three-dimensional space, which is limited with space, time, and gravity, we definitely cannot do that. We are limited with that 3D. Okay, but where then to go science? If we agree that technology may be, at least to say, dangerous, if not very, very bad for humankind. That's why I said spiritual, but I didn't mean exactly that. It can go in that direction, to say that direction, but we know about many things that are not visible to our eye. In the past, again, I mentioned Newton laws, or I mentioned Tesla with radiomagnetic waves which we cannot see, and when he presented that, people said that he is a lunatic. While all our technology today is based on Tesla's inventions. So these were things that we couldn't see. But science went in that direction, into unknown, to explore things. So we know, for instance, science says that the smallest particle we know in the universe would be a photon. And then there are some theories about quarks, and there are scientists who claim that, I mean, there's no need to claim that. We know that energies exist. I mean, radiomagnetic waves are a kind of energy. Um, Speaking about, energies that everybody on the earth living or that possess, so that would be definitely spiritual from this point of view. But why not to be a science? Logically says that, at least around human beings or living beings, there are certain energetic aura. If nothing else, we are releasing heating from our body, so that's definitely some kind of energy, defined or undefined. Perhaps we should try to define it, and the science go that way. So okay, let's put it that way. Okay, simple. Will science go in a direction of technology only and only, and we will stop exploring new things because there is nothing more to explore about technology in a make of a sense that can be a humane way, a humanistic approach? Because everything next we invent in technology in the service will be in the service of technology and not in the service of human. And what can be in the service of human if we go definitely exploring unseen and unknown, which we definitely stopped for quite a time to do. So I think that's the question that we are facing now, and that's not the individual question about freedom, as I mentioned. But this is definitely a question in which direction civilization will go. Okay, civilization definitely made unfair social classes, but that's already past, and that's probably impossible to reverse. But I just want to warn that if we go strictly into direction to serving to technology, after some time that also can be irreversible. So perhaps we should start using technology in science is some start using technology like we to using technology, and science to start using technology in a matter of exploration and debates, arguments, once more. And for the end, I'd like to put it simply that that's the universal, actually, matter in question. Definitely the one we are facing always, and we will facing it in the future. That's why I said put this like past, present, and the future, and that will be a simple way to say between good and evil. Because whoever is laughing to the story, because he is a believer, he's anti-Christian, no need, to abandon his own logic, where he can say that there are simply good people and bad people and evil people. You want me to mention some through history? Adolf Hitler, I don't know, Chikatilo, the greatest serial killer. Okay, no need. I guess I said enough. Inquisition, many other things. So definitely, such fight and battle exists within every one of us, and in the world. So, if you follow what I said previously, that there are certain parties are fighting for the monopoly, and that everything accelerates, and if certain parties get so much power, the biggest percentage of it, could we take it for granted that these will be good people? That's simple. That's why we should tend to go to balance, which is definitely growing greatly. There is no balance anymore. We ruined it, and that's why I'm afraid that such power that we are definitely giving to certain parties may abuse that, and later do many horrible things, as we witnessed through history. Of course, firstly, I know that I'll meet the accusation that I'm a Christian or something like that. I mean, I guess the term have his rights. I respect Christians, and I accept a lot of their ideology, but I'm not, officially at least. So, speaking about good and evil, I'm speaking from a psychology view, definitely, because, again, I said that exists. That's the human's nature, and yeah, and definitely, as we are moving forward in direction where we want to move, we are definitely risking that some very bad people may take over the power, and as I said, who knows what will happen then, and I don't want even to imagine such scenarios. So okay, thanks to everyone who watched this video, and this is my first documentary to say, so I'm sorry it wasn't as you expected, but I tried to be as good as possible. Feel free to ask me everything. We can discuss via Steam or YouTube or even Facebook, Twitter, which I'm not using much, but I can start if you're willing to discuss about these things, because I think that I have a decent knowledge about it. So yeah, feel free to hit me up. Okay, thanks once more, and see you till the next meeting. Bye bye.